Today, titles have increasingly become shields against accountability.
Independent, then.
Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, I rise to second the motion and to pay tribute to Pope Francis, an exemplary religious leader who significantly contributed to the reshaping of the global moral compass. His legacy will be remembered not only within the Catholic Church, but also around the world by those who cherish truth, justice, and the inherent dignity of every human being. Pope Francis was more than a religious leader. He was a voice of reason and compassion in a world increasingly torn by division, inequality, and greed. He championed social justice, urged governments to prioritize the poor, and advocated against global systems that perpetuate suffering. His encyclical Laudato Si reminded us all of our urgent responsibility to care for our planet. This message is even more critical today as we witness the devastating impacts of climate change across Uganda and the world. Pope Francis warned us of the consequences of exploiting nature and ignoring our duty as stewards of creation. Sadly, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, environmental degradation continues to displace communities, destroy livelihoods, and deepen poverty. Pope Francis's clarion call should, therefore, serve as a wake-up call to urgently rethink our development approach and harness the environment sustainably for the benefit of present and future generations. Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, Pope Francis was a bridge builder who crossed the boundaries of faith, politics, and ideology. He reached out to Muslims, Jews, and people of no faith. If we are to move forward as a country, we must begin by seeing one another not through the lenses of politics or belief, but as fellow citizens who deserve dignity, fairness, and a place in our shared future. Pope Francis spoke to presidents, prisoners, refugees, and the forgotten with the same humility. Perhaps what made him truly revolutionary was his simplicity. He rejected the glorification of titles and preferred to be called just Francis. In a world where power often corrupts, he embodied the opposite. Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, as you will recall, Pope Francis visited Uganda in 2015 and brought with him messages that were both timely and deeply powerful. Speaking with clarity and urgency, he reminded our leaders that the development of a nation depends not only on infrastructure, but more importantly, on upright and honest leaders and citizens who are guided by a spirit of service. His words were not abstract. They were a direct call for action for all of us in public leadership. Honourable colleagues, the legacy of Pope Francis challenges us to reflect deeply on the kind of leadership we offer this country. It must never be about position, entitlement, or self-preservation. True leadership, as he demonstrated, is about serving the people with humility, dignity, and humanity. He advocated for justice, transparency, and servant leadership. We, as leaders, must reflect seriously on these values today. At a time when our nation is experiencing a painful breakdown in governance, public resources are being looted, and citizens live in fear. That fear is not abstract, but a bitterly lived experience. Ugandans are being arbitrarily arrested, tortured, and detained without trial for days, some months. Security forces are used to silence dissent, and citizens speak quietly about issues that should be debated openly. Pope Francis's message on such situations was very clear. The dignity of every human being must be upheld, and no government should rule through fear. To the youth, he urged them not to lose hope and not to be discouraged. In today's Uganda, where the youth face unemployment, repression, and hopelessness, his message is more urgent than ever. He wanted young people to become change makers, not victims of a broken system. The Pope's humility stands in stark contrast to the emergence of a new class of untouchables in Uganda. These individuals conceal their abuse of power behind their titles, and they trample on the rights of ordinary people. In Pope Francis's world, titles are meaningless if they are not accompanied by service. Today, titles have increasingly become shields against accountability. Today, titles have increasingly become shields against accountability. During his visit to Nalukolongo, Pope Francis met the elderly and the disabled. He said, "It is in caring for the weakest members of society that we show our true strength. It is therefore a tragic irony that while many Ugandans go without health care, clean water, or even hope, their taxes are stolen by a few who occupy various positions of influence in our country." Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, Pope Francis's legacy challenges us. It highlights our failures as the political elite and motivates us to strive for improvement. He serves as a reminder that leadership is not about status, but about service. Service means standing with the vulnerable, speaking the truth, and living with integrity. As we celebrate his life and legacy, let us pledge to uphold the principles he represented: humility, justice, and compassion. That is the Uganda that Pope Francis would have wanted to see. May the soul of Pope Francis rest in eternal peace. Thank you.
Respected Holy Pope, we should pay it with respect and dignity. We can talk about politics after, but for now, let's talk about the man of God who was full of humility, simplicity. Tinker.
Giving us a crying hand, shoulder, particularly the Catholic Church, for losing our Holy Father. For us, we move in strength that we got a new Holy Father when we saw the smoke, but for this purpose, the white smoke, for this purpose, I want to state that the Holy Father that I met, I will greatly miss him. When we went to see him last year, when you move in the first gate, you are meeting a serious head of state. When you go to the second gate, you start seeing simplicity. Third gate, you start seeing a man who is trusting in the total protection of God. Then the fourth gate, you see joy and peace prevailing in the environment where he meets his subjects, all the people that he meets. I was very excited to receive his blessing. I was very excited to kiss his ring and to accept. I was very, very excited that at the age of 53, as a Catholic, that's when I was able to meet him, to at least touch the hands of the Pope. It's incredible, but we want to say this leader that we met had special attributes in the world. For instance, I remember there is a time he spoke about blessing the homosexuals. A tirade of attack went against him, including the church, the people he was leading, cardinals, bishops writing letters. But he said, even when I have authority to excommunicate anyone who disagrees with me, I will not call forth against that. You see a leader who understood his responsibility as handed over to him from the reign of St. Peter, the apostle of Jesus, the first pope. And he recognized that he was merely the 266th pope of the world, of the Catholic Church. I was very excited in one of his doings as a pope. He allowed single mothers who would want to return to receiving the Holy Communion to undertake the rituals in return to receiving the Holy Communion. We cannot underlook that aspect because we have seen the entire world growing with single mothers struggling for years, and I think they needed to struggle with the Lord.